Hello everyone and welcome to this channel. I'm tempted to say follow me on Twitter if you want daily astrology updates, Instagram if y'all want a daily poll, and here to catch me whenever I post. But I don't have an Instagram or a Twitter. So maybe, I don't know, I kind of do want to get back into astrology. Not that I'm not into it, I just don't really pay attention to the transits at all. Not really. Unless I feel like, oh, I wonder what's happening in the sky today, and then I'll pull up a little app. But it's gonna be another one of those roll the dice types of thing. I haven't diced in a while. I kind of want to do it. Maybe I will later. Here we go. I need to cut my nails. They grow so fast. Okay. We're gonna be seeing who we get today. Timestamps will be below. I know that you can like timestamp a video, like you can make chapters. I might. Well, I'll look into it. We'll see how heavily I look into it, or how deep I guess I look into it. Because I've noticed it a while ago, but I'm like, I don't know if that's like a premium feature. Like after you hit a certain number of subscribers and stuff, then you get access to it. I feel like it shouldn't be, but also I wouldn't be surprised if it is. But anyway, back to the timestamps. Okay, everything will be timestamped up in the description box. So let's get into this. Let's see what we get today. Maybe Cardinals. I don't think I've done Cardinal signs yet. Cardinals! Number 1. Let's go. Okay, I was feeling Cardinal signs, and it came up Cardinal signs. So let's see. I'll check the timestamps. I got mutable signs, fixed signs. These are air. These are just all the signs. Those are the chakras. 4 piles. Yeah, I don't have cardinal signs yet. So cardinal signs. And I'm gonna do all that on the back end. I'll need the SAT. I forgot how I do this. I'm using the tea leaf fortune cards. Don't know if I'm gonna use another deck as well. I kind of want to, but oops. Almost took the 4 swords with me. We need that healing. Let's just see what's up. I'm hoping that at least one energy is cool. 2 of Cups at the cut with the 8 of Swords still at the bottom of the deck. I have Bon Appetit by Katy Perry like stuck in my head. It's fine. The Lovers and the 9 of Wands, to me, that's making difficult decisions and sticking by them, with the Knight of Wands coming after the Lovers. Feels like it gets easier the more you make the decision. One more. I'm only doing this for the clarifier, so I'm going to be looking for the Chariot. I'm feeling majors today. So I'll do the Moon, the Necromancer for Cancer, because the Chariot is Cancer. Cardinal signs are kings. No, queens. Cardinal signs are queens. Do I want to do queens or majors? I'm feeling queens today. I'll do queens. So, oh look, Cancer, right at the bottom of the deck. Okay, come through, Queen of Cups. The Ivory Shield. Next is Taurus with the Hierophant. Just for me personally, I'm in the space of a Mars sextile right now. My Mars is in Cancer, and Mars is currently in Taurus. Mars is sitting between my Sun and my Mars. My Sun is in Pisces, 10 degrees. My Mars is in Cancer, 9 degrees, and Mars is in Taurus. It may be like 6 or something right now, but it will be right in between them. Looking for the shields. I might have passed one because I'm like, I need to pay more attention. Oops. Are they all gonna come out at like the bottom of the deck? Next is Capricorn. So we got water and earth out first. Water and earth out first. Hey. That's the king. Yep, so I missed one of them. Here's Libra. So Aries is the one that I missed. Okay, Aries, where you at? Alright. I'll give these to Libra. Why not? Unless one of those is the Queen of Wands. Here she is. Okay, there's Aries. Last but certainly not least, between the Seven of Cups and the Eight of Wands, the Corruptor and the Sharpshooter. Now, there was a story with the Corruptor and the Sharpshooter one time, which was about, it was like devil energy had hidden something from the sight of whoever is in the Sharpshooter energy. And in this deck, the Spirit Keeper's Tarot, SKT, yeah, Spirit Keeper's Tarot. I don't know where my brain is today. Mercury is about to retrograde. So I guess there goes my brain. Let me see where it is right now. Because it's going to retrograde in air signs this year. So Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra. And I've experienced consciously or more awarely water retrogrades, 2019 and 2020. Now, some of them dipped back into air signs last year, but they started in water. And so maybe with an air sign retrograde, it's going to be potentially things that were left unsaid or thoughts that we kind of sort of put on the back burner, maybe coming back to the surface. Like, hey, maybe I should do this now. So in a week and 5 days, Mercury will station retrograde. And we are officially in the pre-shadow because it's going to station direct at 11 degrees and it retrogrades at 26 degrees. Right now, Mercury is 16 degrees, so that's within that space that it's going to retrograde. So happy pre-shadow, I guess. But the corruptor had seen through the illusion, not the sharpshooter. All right, let me start at the beginning. So in this deck, the corruptor is linked to the 7 deadly sins. So it's like every cup is bad, basically. But something was hidden within one of these. Now the sharpshooter had released its arrow aiming at one of them. And like devil energy, take that to mean whatever you want it to mean. Thought that the sharpshooter was picking one of the cups and that it had fallen into its trap or whatever. But the arrow from the sharpshooter pierced through the cup to get to the truth of what was hidden inside of it. And it's almost like the actual prize was impenetrable. So it shattered the illusion around it and got to the truth of it. So it's like kind of sort of in one of these cups, but not necessarily, because it's about removing the illusion around that. That was one time these two came out together. This is Mercury and Sag, Venus and Scorpio. I don't know why I'm starting to get kind of like breathy. Is that the word I want? Nerdy? I don't know. I want to do this. I'm not sure. Well, we'll start. We'll go in order. So we'll start with Cancer, and then Capricorn, Libra, and then Aries. I feel like most of the times I do, not most of the times, but quite a number of times I do this. The cards that oppose each other will come out together. Like it'll be Gemini, Sagittarius, and then Virgo and Pisces, or Pisces, Virgo, Sagittarius, Gemini. Okay. Oh no! Oh no! Gosh, there's 200 cards in this deck. Please don't fall on the floor. Oh, 1 second. Oh, here it is. Okay. Ooh. Oh, that's interesting. Oh my gosh. I might have to count these. I may have to count these because I only see one card down here. I can't wait till I move, y'all. And I actually have like dedicated space, or at least more space, to hopefully minimize the number of lost cards that happen. I just got this deck. Okay. So that's Cancer. I'm going to pull this off screen so y'all don't see what that is. Okay. Next is this? Cancer, Capricorn. There we go. I'm putting that back on Capricorn. There we go. All right. Guess I'll give it. Oh my gosh. Then this one turned over. Ooh, that's interesting. Next is Libra. And I will be pausing in between each one just to shorten the video by like a minute, maybe. And then I'll get the timestamps when I do that. So that'll also be maybe another minute of me going like, the time is. Ooh, I've seen that one recently. All right, come on, Libra. I guess that's it for Libra. Last but not least, Aries. Oh gosh. So Aries is going to be the difficult one. Not difficult, but oh gosh. Oh, that is quite a number, Aries. I actually have quite a few Aries friends. Surprisingly, and then we'll do this. Oh, two, sure. For these up here, I'm going to set these off to the side. I guess I'll flip them upside down so I know what the bottom is. The bottom is the vulture, which is interesting. I think I talked about the vulture on my other channel. And when the vulture came out, it came out for the month of February or the space of February. And I guess we're about to be heading into it. Could also be Aquarius season, because the year starts in Capricorn, and it was the second one. Aquarius season carries through to February. Doesn't matter. The vulture was all about allowing the things to transform that needed to be transformed. However, according to the book, it was mostly about feeling basically that like your environment is out to get you. It was a feeling of distrust, or like keep an eye out on someone in your environment. But in the space of that, it was like there are some things that are coming to be transformed for a reason, and depending on how attached we are to those things, then that's why we feel attacked, or that's why we feel like something is coming to get us or something, because something needs to be let go of. And last time I was talking about the coffin, right? Well, maybe if you saw it. And the coffin was like, we're carrying around these things in a casket. It was a casket. We think we're carrying whatever, but it's the casket. And that transformation doesn't happen until we put the casket down. Because whatever is inside the casket is perfectly content to continue resting while you basically do all the legwork. And it isn't until you set it down that whatever is inside has to make the decision to complete that transformation, or just to emerge from the transformation, honestly. Sometimes the transformation happens, but as long as we don't need to act in that space of transformation, then it's almost like we don't necessarily see it or notice it because we don't have to. And so if it wants to move forward, it's going to have to emerge from the chrysalis, basically. What else came out? I remember it was doorways, diamonds, and something else. Cups, maybe. So there were actually a few moments within that reading. First, it was the vulture, which was like, are we going to be transformed by the situations in the past, or are we going to continue to basically be victim to them? That's pretty standard. Then there came a point in time which calls back to the Eight of Essences that came out when I was like, when you're at the six, everything is good and you think that you've made it. When you hit the seven, that's when you discover that there's more and there's a new enthusiasm. Now, at the eight, it's when all of the newness has worn off. We're missing the comfort of having felt like we had everything together. And that's when the journey gets a little bit difficult. But even if we try to go back to the six when we're in the space of the eight, it won't feel like it used to because we already know more. It's like, what was his name? Cypher or whatever in the Matrix when he was like, plug me back in, right? It's like he would have had to had his mind altered to forget that that experience was manufactured. Like you can't just go back in because you already know what it is. And you can either decide to continue forward to actually reach that completion and fulfillment at the 10, or you can sort of stall out there and build a cabin in the woods instead of, finishing your journey out of the woods. Either way, it's your life. It's your choice. And that energy came up. And then, but that time it felt more like a six because we were afraid of the seven instead of like already being at that eight. And that was around August or September. And then after that, immediately came fulfillment. I think that was August, was that energy, and then September came the fulfillment. And it's like the process is it's basically getting expedited, but it's still determined by um, the choices that we make and the decisions that we make. So here's one of those micropause moments. 1 second. All right, so I push the timestamp back a little bit. I might check it before I upload it. I might not. I will. I will. Timestamps are approximations. Okay, anyway, cardinal signs, let's get into it. So the overall cardinal is the Chariot. And this is also interesting because when I use the vice verses, the back of the Tower came out. And this is another deck with sphinxes depicted on the Chariot. And in the back of the Tower card, it was like, how did the sphinxes escape the Chariot? This tower is on an island. How did the sphinxes end up on this island? It's almost this, I don't know why I want to say where did it come from, where did it go, because it's not that. It is almost an energy of like, whoa, like how did I get here? Because maybe we thought we were going for something else, but surprise, turns out you ended up here. Now the thing, it's like horses, um in some weird way. It's like one of the horses is like a horse and the other horse is like a bull. It's like a bull or a cow. It's predominantly grazing. Sometimes it charges. That's the light one. The actual horse is the dark one because that's the one that's less domesticated, I guess. And so what happens is if your will isn't stronger than the will of the horse, you end up going wherever the horse is going. And the bull, more often than not, just follows the other horse because it's that like you have to ask for it, you have to make the choices and decisions to receive it, you have to be aligned to it. It's not something that necessarily just happens, except for when it does. And when it does, then the horse loses to the bull. Maybe not too often, not too frequently. Again, because, you have to not only ask for it, but also act in alignment with it. But it's like our will has been basically decimated. And a lot of people after last year, after 2020, that's probably the case. Maybe still in a space where your will, our wills are decimated because we don't yet feel like we're in control or something like that. And it's not to be in control of situations and circumstances. It's about being in control of the things that we can be in control of, ourselves and our decisions and our minds and our hearts. And a lot of times it's like, oh, but I can't control what I think or what I feel. And it's like, yeah, that's fair. Especially when there's a lot of things that are suppressed or that we're not facing and dealing with. And yeah, because the control lies in the things that you can't face. Because all they have to do is show up and then your will is just gone and the horse is off doing whatever it wants to do. And you being, even though you are the charioteer, you being on that chariot, you go wherever the horse takes you. That's how it works. That's why, your will should be strongest. Anyway, you can see the glyphs for the cardinal signs in this card. That's why I use this as the cardinal significator, just as I use the world for fixed signs and I use the temperance, the angel, for immutable signs. So let's get into this. At the top of the deck was the Mule. Oh my gosh! Speaking of things that, uh, well, a mule more so carries things rather than people. It's mostly used for things, less for transportation, but it can be. Someone is extremely stubborn and unwilling to change. That's the Mule. Stubborn as a mule. Okay, okay. I was talking about that bull energy. Y'all know Tauruses get a rep for being stubborn as well. I am actually going to read the book today. We'll see how much I feel it. I'm going to switch over my reading glasses. Oh, I need to get some stuff from my mom today. All right. Business thing. Invoices from 2020. It's fine. I end up doing a lot of stuff that I don't necessarily see myself doing. But that's just how things work. So the Mule. Ooh, they put extremely. Oh, it say extremely on the card. There we go. The Mule. Someone is extremely stubborn and unwilling to change. A man is tugging at a mule that is facing in the opposite direction. The mule refuses to turn around and follow the man. A battle of wills. Oh my gosh, I love this. A battle of wills has developed in which neither the man nor the mule is willing to give way. This card signifies that you are being stubborn and rigid in your views, or someone you know is stubborn and unwilling to change. The question that immediately pops into my mind, especially when it comes to the chariot, is like, are we willing to do the things that need to be done in order to get where it is that we want to be? And if one thing has been highlighted and illuminated, it's how willing we aren't, some of us, how willing we aren't to do the things that need to be done in order to address the situations at hand. It's like we'd rather do nothing, pretend like everything is what it used to be, and expect to get there. And maybe for a long time, that's kind of sort of how things seem to have worked. But where we're going, that's no longer the case. And it's like, even spiritually, it's like, oh, just leave it. Just call on this angel or that angel or God or spirit, and it'll do everything. You don't have to do anything. And what happens when that's the case is we end up spiritually and in many other areas stunted, because it's like we're forfeiting the power of our will, maybe, because that is a choice that we're making. But the will to see that choice made manifest is what is lacking then. And the spirit kind of went a little quiet about a year ago when we came into 2020. A little bit. And that's why, it was spirits giving us the keys and asking us to drive. Some people will drive. Some people will give their keys to someone else and hope that they drive them the place that they want to go. Some people will just stand there, sit there waiting for spirit to move, when spirit's like, girl, dude, the keys are in your hand. What are you doing? It's like, oh, I'm content to stay here waiting. And then they get irritated and agitated that they're not going anywhere. What is it? Is it c'est la vie? Such is life? So now let's come into the bottom, or let's get into the bottom. That's nasty. Okay, I'm sorry. My Venus isn't Aries, right? So here's the bowl. Plenty of material things. I almost put my singing bowl down here, but I decided not to. Maybe I should I was like, I should bring the bowl. The bowl and the bull. Oh my gosh, look, the bull. There's the bull. Here's the bull. There's the mule. Oh, who would win between the bull and the mule? So, the bull is, do not back down from opposition, show strength and fortitude, and then plenty of material things. Now, what's interesting is Uranus and Mars are conjuncting in Taurus, early Taurus. I think like 6 degrees is where, no, yeah, like 6 degrees is where that's going to happen. Because I'm pretty sure Uranus is like 6. It may be, no, it shouldn't be 7 yet because it just went direct. Let's see. Yeah, 6 degrees. 6, almost 6 3/4 degrees Taurus. And Black Moon Lilith is in Taurus right now too. The moon is in Aries. And so let's go forward a little bit, because within the space of that conjunction, the moon might be there as well. Yeah. It looks like on January 20th, interestingly enough, that's when that conjunction is going to be happening. Because here is 6:44 and 20 minutes. No, that's seconds. Degrees, minutes, seconds. So 6 degrees, 44 minutes, 19.9 seconds. And then 6 degrees, 44 minutes, 39.9 seconds. You can see it right there. All in Taurus. And so it's going to be on this day, probably. That was 3:22 p.m. Eastern. Let's go to 7:30. Okay, so yeah, it's happening that day. So by 7:30, the Mars is going to overtake Uranus. So between 3:30 and 7:30 Eastern Time, Wednesday, the 20th January, 2021, Mars is going to be directly conjuncting Uranus, and the Moon is going to be there. Now, let's look at sextiles. So in Cancer, there's nothing. In Pisces, that's 18 degrees. That's pretty far. Opposition, Venus is going to be 15 degrees Capricorn. That's fairly far-ish. Squares, Jupiter is going to be 7 degrees Aquarius. So that's a pretty close square. Saturn is going to be almost 4 degrees. So that's a fairly close square. The sun is going to be 1 degree. So that's still within like the 10-degree orb. So that's a square. Sun, Saturn, Jupiter. Other square is Leo. Nothing in Leo. And then trines. Virgo was empty. Capricorn. Venus, that would be the trine. Scorpio would be the opposition. Nothing in Scorpio. Okay. Oh gosh. So the moon is going to be there. There's always like one extra little planet or one little asteroid that flies into the picture when things like this have been happening. Because I remember it was in the space of the second Jupiter Pluto conjunction that Pallas was starting to move back towards Pluto as well. And I remember being like, oh, well, if Pallas Athena is there, girl, if it wasn't rough enough the first time, it might be the second time because she is the strategist. Now, on a human level, that could have been seen as bad, but on a spiritual level, it's like driving the point home. And I think Uranus is kind of going to be, I don't know if it's a Uranus, I'm attributing it to Uranus. Um, it's going to be that point of really driving things home. It's like if you continue along this path, it's a preview to the destruction, I guess, that awaits, or the discordance that awaits. Now, personally, I'm a Taurus rising 8 degrees. So that's happening like a degree and a half away from my ascendant, which is fine because Uranus, was on my ascendant already. And that makes sense. And also, this is the space where we had the full blue Taurus moon. And I remember that because the full blue Taurus moon happened on my ascendant degree. And that was Halloween. Or was that like the 30th? It was either the 30th or Halloween. Should I look? I'm not gonna get too far into. Well, sure. I'll look. I'll look at Halloween just to see what else was going on around that time. It's October 31. Was it the 30th or the 31st? It was probably the 31st. Hold up, wait. Oh, that's 2021. I was like, hold up, where the moon at? Okay, so it looks like it was the 31st. Let's see. The sun was 9 degrees. Nah, well, the moon is 12 degrees. Let's go around noon time. Noon 30 was 9 degrees. So, yeah, it was the 31st here in the US. And that's when we had. So, Uranus was conjuncting the moon pretty closely there, too. But it was in retrograde then. It's direct now. Mars was also retrograde then, but it's direct now. Sun was in Scorpio. No way. Hold up. Okay, so never mind. It was that day. Because there's 8 and 3. I'm trying to remember the exact time it happened, but it doesn't matter. It's in this day. So Uranus and the moon were conjuncting at that time too. Everything was still in Capricorn. 2022, 26. So Jupiter and Pluto were still pretty close. All of those planets were direct by then. Neptune was still retrograde. Mercury was retrograde in Libra at that time. It started in Scorpio, it retrograded all the way back into Libra. Now the Aquarius retrograde, it'll be in, I look, and it's 26 degrees Libra. It'll be 26 degrees Aquarius when it retrogrades. Okay, cute. Or not cute, but interesting. So anyway, we're going to be having that Moon, Mars, Uranus conjunction on the 20th of January. Interesting. Just like there was a Moon North Node conjunction on the 4th of November, which was also interesting. Venus is going to be in a loose trine. Well, I guess that trine is breaking because Venus is faster than Mars. So, because they trined more exactly around like 0 degrees Taurus and Capricorn, I believe. Anyway, back into the bowl and the bull. Oh my gosh, this is the bull in the china shop. Oh gosh. Okay, so it might be like a bit of a bull in a china shop. And the thing about the bull in the china shop is that, the bull isn't grazing, it's more charging, and in the china shop, dishes and bowls and plates are breaking basically. So it's a material disruption, but it's a good disruption. Show strength and fortitude. And that it's almost a price. And again, it's that energy of like, are we willing to do the things that we need to do to get where we want to be? Is your will going to be stronger than the will of the horse? Or is the bull going to beat the horse at the very, like if you can't beat the horse, then I guess the bull will have to. But that's kind of sort of how we ended up in this mess in the first place. Let's look at the bull and the bull. Excuse me, like a bull in a china shop. Oh goodness, adages. So the bull, do not back down from opposition. Show strength and fortitude. A bull stands beneath a tree. Its head is lowered, showing it is ready to charge. The bull represents a situation or person that you must not back down from. It will require all of your strength and fortitude to face this person or situation, but it is imperative that you do not back down. Check connecting cards to see if they reveal information about the person or situation. Plenty of material things. That could be just the whole world around you, girl. Plenty of material things. Bowl. A beautifully patterned bowl is filled with every type of luscious, ripe fruit. This symbol indicates that you will enjoy plenty of material things. However, you should pay heed not to place too much value on material things, for like fruit, which can soon rot and has to be thrown away, material possessions can soon lose their luster and appeal. Very Venusian Impressian energy here. And, Taurus, Venus, the Empress. Makes sense. Taurus and Capricorn, or Venus is in Capricorn. And so it's giving Venusian energy, Empress energy, the ability to overcome any obstacle. Like the goat can climb mountains. The goat is like the only energy that can do singly what it would take a team to do. Right? Usually, well, not usually. When I got into tarot, the Three of Pentacles is in the Wild Unknown. It's depicted as a mountain to emphasize the teamwork that's necessary to scale it. But a goat, and that being Capricornian energy, second decan of Capricorn, the goat can do it by itself. That's the goat's natural habitat. Now, Capricorn is a sea goat, and so I guess that can involve a certain element of emotion. Being opposed to Cancer, I feel like a Cancerian energy can look at a Capricorn energy as cold and disconnected because it's not so consumed by its emotions that it's unable to do what it has to do. It's like Capricorn is the energy that can make tough decisions. Saturn, so makes sense. And that's kind of sort of, again, the space that we're in. A lot of us aren't willing to sacrifice anything, it seems, to get what we actually want. And If it's easily given, is it really a sacrifice? Just like an act isn't courageous or brave if there's no fear or trepidation involved. It's like that the definition of courage or bravery is doing something in direct opposition to fear or anxiety or worry. Like, if it's easy for you, it's not necessarily, it doesn't have the same level of impact. And it's not an absolute scale, it's a relative scale. So, what's easy for you may be difficult for someone else. What's difficult for someone else may be what's easy for you. So, we're not necessarily going by who accomplished what. It's more so of like what was overcome. Now, Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto were all working on that Capricornian space. So that foundation has been set. Jupiter and Saturn have moved on to Aquarius. We just had the Sun conjunct Capricorn, and I talked about that, how some of those things are going to be coming to the light. But mostly, and back to that Moon and Bell energy, what's going to be coming to the light is whether we've done enough to overcome whatever Pluto put us on a path of preparation for, to actually see if those changes have been made. Because in the time that we must act differently, the sun's going to show whether we are capable or not. Now, the sun's going to be entering Aquarius, moving into the space of conjuncting Saturn and Jupiter, roughly at the same time this is happening. So it's going to be Sun in Aquarius square the moon in Taurus when Mars and Uranus are conjuncting. And that's going to be like 4 degrees off. Or 5. It's 4 for the moon, like 5 for the sun. A 5-degree orb is. I know I say I'm not an astrologer, but I know a few things. A 10-degree orb is like a very loose. 10-degree orb is like a 10-degree difference. So if like the sun is 10 degrees Capricorn and the moon is 0 degrees Capricorn, you could say that they are conjuncting both in the same space at the same degree within a 10-degree differential. It gets stronger the closer you get to 0-degree difference. So if the sun is 10 degrees Capricorn and the moon is 10 degrees Capricorn, new moon in Capricorn. If the sun is 10 degrees Capricorn and the moon is 10 degrees Cancer, full moon in Cancer. Now, a 5-degree orb is like the next sort of level of happening. And so if the sun was 10 degrees Capricorn and the moon was 5 degrees Capricorn, 5-degree orb conjunction. Now, again, the closer to 0 degrees, the closer to exact, the better. But it'll be within that space of the energy sort of being applicable from some, I'm not going to say arbitrary, because there's been a lot of astrologers over time. So, hey, anyway, I'm not necessarily meant to get all into the astrology. This is already a lot longer than I thought it would be, but maybe it'll be long up here and short down here, even though Aries is Aries. Aries is a ram, though. And so Aries too has a similar energy to Capricorn, and that it can scale mountains, but Aries is a lot more aggressive. So if Aries is challenged, it can be lost. I think, whereas like Capricorn, if I'm just going off of the animals, because Capricorn, the goat, I guess if you have a billy goats and rams are kind of sort of, I personally don't know the difference. So I kind of sort of take them to be the same energy. But the ram is always the ram. The goat, like a cow, like if we just say cow, it could be a cow or a bull. Even though cows are cows and bulls are bulls, bovines, a bovine can be a cow or a bull, but usually we just say cow. And cow can be gender neutral for bovine animals, even though cow is the female and the bull is the male, right? It's not like whales, where the female whale is a female whale a cow? I think so. Hey Siri, what is a female whale called?
A female of the order containing species commonly called whales, dolphins, and porpoises is called a cow.
Yeah, okay, work. They're cows. But it can like either be a cow or a bull. Now Aries, like if two rams meet each other, they lock horns to do the superiority whatever thing. And so that's where Aries can be a little sidetracked. But they both have the capacity to scale mountains. And I do love that both sides, like neither side is backing down. The mule and the cow. Someone extremely stubborn and unwilling to change. Do not back down from opposition, show strength and fortitude. Again, it's that battle of wills. And a lot of people are already out of the game. But it's not too late to get back in it. But, you know, a lot of people are already out of the game. Comfort zones and things like that. You can only fight for so long before you get tired, but you know, as long as you are primarily focused on the physical, then yeah, girl, because it's slow. I can see how you'd be tired. But there are mechanisms behind the mechanisms behind the mechanisms behind the mechanisms. And when you are geared deep in the clock, you can see what's going to be happening before the gears turn a full however many numbers they have to turn to get this bigger gear to turn just one notch. Right? It's like how many times does the second hand have to complete a full revolution before the hour hand moves 1 hour? 3,600? Maybe? 60 minutes or 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour, 3,600. No, my brain might be a little rusty. So, yeah, because 24 hours in a day. Yeah. So the second hand has to make 3,600 complete cycles before the hour hand moves one notch. So 3,600 times 12, it has to do before we get 12 hours. 3,600 times 24, it has to do before we get a full day. So let's do that math. Hey Siri, what is 3,600 times 24?
3,600 times 24 is 86,400.
So the second hand has to make 86,400 complete revolutions, I guess, to get the hour hand to make 2 full revolutions. Because, you know, we use a 12-hour clock, so it doesn't move 24 separate. So let's do half of that. 86,400 would be 43,200. So 43,200 revolutions just to get the hour hand to make 1 full revolution. So again, if you're focused on hour hand movement, it takes a lot longer than if you could see that the second hand and the chariot has left the reading. Okay. It's like moving on, move on, move on. Come on, come on. They get it. All right, fine. I'll pick up the chariot later. I hope I don't forget it down there. Chariot card is saying move the freak on, so we're gonna move on. We'll put the 1 there in space of the chariot. But yeah, and it's like you can be focused on the minute hand, looking at the hours tick by, and it's like still the image that you have would be different than if you could see the second hand view of how everything's going to play out. Anyway, so we are moving on to Cancer. We are starting with you. Queen of Cups, Ivory Shield energy. Let's see. We have Happiness, the Older Woman, and August. Now, when I first saw this card, I thought it was the Moon. And I was like, oh my gosh, like the Moon for Cancer? Revolutionary. Florals in spring. But so there's an astral house, a month, and a tea leaf. Somebody just mentioned August. Somebody mentioned Older Woman, August, and Happiness. I was watching Rustling Around, and he just said that Rob's Tarot mentioned that the Valkyries will be returning in August. This is dealings or relationship with an older woman. So for Cancer, I guess I'll take that to mean crone energy. Um, I don't know if this is necessarily gonna like really mean anything, but I'll look and see. I'll look and see where the older woman is. Someone more knowledgeable, someone more experienced. Older woman. Dealings or relationship with an older woman. An older woman is shown. This card indicates that you will have important dealings or a relationship with an older woman during the time frame indicated, August, I guess. However, the symbol does not indicate whether the older woman is a friend or foe, or whether the relationship will be of a romantic, financial, or social nature. Check connecting cards to see if they reveal the nature of the older woman. We have happiness, so I'd assume that to be a friend. But sometimes people unite over how much they don't like somebody else. But it could be your mutual dislike of this older woman energy that causes you to connect with somebody who makes you happy. Things are weird like that sometimes. They don't necessarily work out how we think that they will. That's why it's important to have an open mind and to have one's own discernment and things of that nature. Because you can get attached to the older woman thinking that the older woman is going to make you happy, but that may not necessarily be the case. So, but Cancer is a very intuitive energy. I have a really good Cancerian friend who I just talked to the other day via Facebook. I actually saw him when I went to my grandma's one day. My brother was like, "Wait, is that him?" I was like, "Oh snap, it is." And we were like, "Hey," and he was like, "Hey, who is it? You have to tell me because I can't tell." And I was like, honestly, I should say that more. It's like I see people. Well, before I had my surgery, now I can actually, when I see somebody, I can recognize them. It's mind blowing. But it's like I would run through the voices in my little memory bank to try to figure out who it was, especially if they were at a distance. Like, "Hey, Patrick," I just turn and face that general direction and be like, "Hey," and then keep walking instead of being like, "Who is that? I can't see." Honesty, honesty. Honestly, it reminds me of another time. I went to Burger King with I was at work and we stopped by Burger King on a break or something, or like on our way to the next site. Maybe we got some water or something. I don't remember. And we got it for free too. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm gonna start wearing this vest everywhere." And we were pulling out of Burger King, and the dude was like, "I can't see, so tell me if anyone is coming on your side." Now my glasses were off. I had taken off my glasses to wipe them clean, and instead of being like, "I can't see, let me put my glasses back on," or instead of waiting until my glasses were on to say something, I was just like, "Yeah, we're good." And there was a car. And then afterwards, I'm like, my glasses were off. Like, why did I say that? I don't know. It was the pressure of the moment. But I guess when you're an older woman, you learn patience. I think the older woman here is also a trust in one's own intuitive nature. And it's a trust that you begin to develop at the mother stage. It's a trust that feminine energy, it always has. Like, feminine energy always has that knowing. But when you really come into the mother, when you have a child, when you depend on that to ensure the health and safety and well-being of something that you really care about and love, then it through that space increases, I guess, the dependency on that ability, and then it gives it credence. So by the time you're an older woman, you have more trust in your intuition. And so this is the space of a developed trust. August, Libra season, coming out of Leo. No, Virgo. That's Virgo coming out of Leo. Virgo being the maiden. Here's the crown. Where's the mother? And this is for Cancer. Cancer is the mother. Okay, work. Yeah, Cancer is the mother. Virgo is the maiden, and the crone is right here. And so for Cancer, August is also what, the last month of summer, the last full month of summer, because autumn starts in with Libra season in September, and the summer starts in Cancer season. And so August is the only full month of, no, because Cancer season starts in June. So it's the second full month. Would that be the second or the third trimester? First trimester would be Cancer. Second trimester would be Leo. Third trimester would be Virgo. And then at the end of Virgo season, it's born. Libra. Autumn, the time for harvest. Okay, Cancer, this is interesting. I don't know. For Cancerian energy, there's a need to, I would say, reintegrate maiden energy, because the crone, you will naturally, it's like you naturally sort of evolve into that process because of linear time. And maybe the maiden is the one that holds this happiness. I feel like this is saying that there needs to be a balance between developed discernment and cynicism. Like there's a difference, and it's more circumstantial, it seems. There's a difference between being like cynical and using your discernment. Now, if the situation doesn't pan out, then the cynicism and the discernment probably align very closely. But if there is that opportunity for happiness involved in that situation, that's where we learn to differentiate the cynicism, the paranoia, the old pattern of things from what our spirit is actually telling us. And sometimes when we get used to older women here, this is where the older woman could be a foe. The older woman could be a friend or a foe. Because if you've gotten used to certain patterns, but if things have shifted and changed, then the reactionary part of your brain, that subconscious but not necessarily spiritual part of your brain, will go, okay, we've seen this pattern before. We know what's happening. This leads to that. But that might not necessarily be the case if the game has changed, if the pattern is different. And so that older woman energy would be a foe if it directs you away from this happiness. A happiness that the maiden would have been a lot more easily aligned to. And it's about coming into a new page energy after sitting in the space of a queen. Queen of Cups. Makes sense. The page is mostly linked to the queen, with the knight being linked to the king traditionally. Now, in this deck, the page is linked to the queen. The suits of earth and water have feminine kings and queens. The suits of wands and swords have masculine kings and queens. And so, like, a knight of swords could be either a king or a queen of swords. And the page of swords would be whatever she chooses to be, I guess. I don't know. Well, the system is different in this deck as well. So, anyway, anyway. It's about integrating more of that maiden energy. And that's the thing about being a mother, is that you don't know everything. And all you have to do to ensure that your children are on the right path, or to ensure that your creations are brought into the world or navigate the world that most benefits them and minimizes devastating experience, I guess. Like, all you have to put into that is what you've experienced. But again, when things shift and change, there comes a certain point in time where your experiences become suffocating and detrimental to what it is that you're growing. And again, that cynicism is fine when the outcome is the same. But what were to happen if the outcome were different? Because circumstances are different. I was watching a show. I watched it in like 2 days. I've been catching up on shows that I haven't watched in a while. And in the last season, they blew up the moon, and then they moved the moon, and the moon wasn't happy. And that season was all about circumstances. And nothing was working because external circumstances were different. Now, one of the Smarty Pants characters figured out how to calculate for external circumstances, but then things still didn't work for that character because their internal circumstances had changed. And then at the end, she was like, I have to face all of me, light and shadow, to get clear on my internal circumstances. Because this is a point in time where we can't calculate for external circumstances. All we can control are the internal ones. But to control the internal ones, we have to face everything. And that's kind of the collective energy that we're in. If we wish to move on to better things, we have to face everything, light and shadow, of whatever situation we're in, to ensure that we get the outcome that we want. Because if we don't face those things, it's a whole set of circumstances that we can't account for. And there's not a lot of room for error right now. It's almost like we're sitting in an ace space, and it can become anything. Just like a child, when you give birth, it can become anything. And there's a certain amount of time where you dress up your child, you feed your child what you want your child to eat, you monitor everything that they do. But after a certain point in time, they start to develop their own tastes and interests. And with or without your permission, some of that stuff they'll go out and they'll experience. And what did my mama say? The Bible says, train up your child in the way that they should go. And that's the only part of that I know. Train up your child in the way that they should go, and that's all you can do. The rest is up to that child. Also, with this older woman, there could be a desire to vicariously live through a maiden energy, but you don't want to step into one of those queens' energies where she was like drinking the blood of young maidens or something to keep herself young. Was that Snow White? Was that just the evil queen, or was Maleficent Snow White? Maleficent was Sleeping Beauty, right? So the evil queen in Snow White, when she drank the blood of maidens or whatever, or bathed in the blood of maidens to retain her young appearance. Interesting. That's another thing for another show I was watching. Now, that old woman didn't get the young surgery that she wanted. She ended up dead, unfortunately, poisoned. Unfortunately. Uh, anyway. And then Snow White comes along, and the mirror is like, there is someone more fair than you. And the queen is like, oh, no, no, but what about all these maidens that I bathe in the blood of? Girl, I'm not out here killing girls to not be the most beautiful. And it's like, girl, well, maybe you shouldn't be doing that in the first place. You know, embrace the cycle for what it is. And maybe you'll come back more beautiful in the next one. Anyway, there's a lot of stuff that this could be. But ultimately, it's about integrating Mother, Maiden, and Crone energy and watching out for that cynical point of view. because it's like that's a point where our manifestations can be muddied a little bit when our own cynicism and realism add extra layers onto what we want to be that are completely unnecessary. You know, it's like if you're manifesting something huge or miraculous, defying expectation and defying the norm is kind of sort of wrapped up in there. Otherwise, it wouldn't necessarily be a miracle, right? And so there's a whole bunch of extra stuff that older woman energy can put onto something that's not necessarily necessary. So again, either it's cynical or it's discernment. Cynicism or discernment. Cancer. If I had to title this, if this was just for you, cynicism or discernment. Okay, that was a little bit of time, but I hope you found something in that. I hope you are well. If you're not well, I hope you do better soon. And for those who believe in and act in alignment and accordance to, miracles and miraculous things are constantly and currently happening. Sometimes it just takes the second hand a few turns for the minute hand or the hour hand to catch up. But again, if you're acting and believing, then know that it's already been set into motion. Everything from there is like positionality and divine timing and things of that nature. So, yeah. Next up, Cappies, the Capricorn. Hey, next up, Cappies, Capricorn. I don't know. I am such a fan of Capricorn energy lately because it's all about that goat. It's all about being the greatest of all time, being able to do what no one else can do on your own, scaling mountains, craving that salt or whatever. I not super into memes, girl. So, but I know like craving that salt was a thing a few years ago, maybe. Looking at the goats on the side of mountains, licking the sides of mountains, standing on that pebble that just protruded from the sheer surface of that mountain a little bit. And that pebble was enough for the goat to have a firm standing on the mountain, girl. Or a guy. Or, neither or both. Let's just get into this, shall we? So, Capricorn, you're coming out with the shield. You need to defend yourself. Oops. The barking, advice from a friend. Oh, dog barking, advice from a friend. And the four-leafed clover, great good fortune. So you got the shield, the dog barking, and the four-leaf clover. Speaking of the goat, I mean, hey. Okay, Capricorn, just because you're a goat, though, I guess doesn't necessarily mean that you can do everything on your own because again, like goats are really, really, really good at scaling mountains, but they still need to have some kind of footing, right? Now, the footing that can stabilize a goat isn't enough. It's inadequate to stabilize a lot of other creatures, but something still needs to be there. A foundation still needs to be there. So let's read the book on this. Are these like three separate things? Maybe not. If you're a Capricorn that is going into business, or if you are a Capricorn that is in dealings with someone else, then you might want to trust the advice of someone who is close to you. If you are in Capricorn energy, you may want to trust the advice of someone close to you. Capricorn energy being if you are starting on something new for which you have not too, not robust, but like if your footing in this brand new thing isn't necessarily enough to sustain your ordinary methods of doing it, there is someone located, a close friend somewhere, that has some good advice for you that may seem a little counterproductive, but listen to it. Because again, this is coming with that opposition to Cancerian energy. Now, being the goat is all fine and good and dandy, but there's a limit to how far you can go alone. And when you start working with other people, you have to have that emotional competence. Because if you have the emotional competence of a rock, then nothing that is not dense is going to want to work with you. And that's one of the shadow sides of Capricorn energy, or it can be. It's like there are people who are extremely capable, but like people skills are lacking and no one wants to work with them. And again, there's a lot that you can do alone, but at a certain point, you are going to need other people. Or even if you are trailblazing, it's like there's also this energy of, let's say that like you are going up the Himalayas for the first time and you can scale the whole mountain in a day because you're just built that way. But your purpose is to create a path for others to follow. You have to keep in mind the stamina and endurance of other people. Because if other people can't scale a mountain in a day, then it's like you are tasked with establishing those rest stops along the way. You're also tasked with keeping in mind that not everyone can take the steepest path. And so you kind of sort of have to go outside of your usual and outside of your normal because, again, you are establishing the trail and the path for others. So take a less steep path, make some rest points along the way, and if you have no way of conceptualizing what an average person can endure or tolerate, that's where the dog barking comes into mind. And someone can tell you, okay, like that path would be really, really, really steep for the average person. So you're going to have to look for a less steep path. Or if you go up that path, you're going to need a rest stop a lot sooner than you would be if you went up a less steep path. And for some people, it's more about the accomplishing of scaling this mountain rather than the record time in which they do it. That is to say that some people are fine with a journey taking less time if it's one designed in a way that they can actually accomplish. A human body has to adapt to these conditions, oxygen thinning and things of that nature. You do it all at once, it may shock the body. Now, just because your little goat body can handle it again doesn't mean that those who come after you can handle it. Capricorn, interesting. Capricorn. Interesting, interesting, interesting. Capricorn, I'm liking it. Maybe feeling a little attacked, but that's fine. So, the shield. You need to defend yourself. A shield appears in front of the querist. The shield has withstood the onslaught of many battles and now stands ready to do battle on behalf of the querist. This symbol signifies that you will need to defend yourself during the time frame shown. It also advises you to graciously accept any help that is offered. To graciously accept any help that is offered. Introducing the barking dog. Wait, that's dog barking. Okay. Dog barking. There's the dog. Dogs and dog barking. Dog close up. Dog far away. Lots of dog messages. But the barking dog, advice from a friend. A dog is barking, an earnest expression on its face, trying to attract the attention of the querist. The querist should pay heed. This card signifies that a friend or relative will give you some advice. It is important that you pay attention to what the person has to say and do not dismiss it as being of no consequence. And then we end up on the 4-leaf clover. Should you take this advice, your journey will be auspicious, I'm sure. Oh, I want a funnel cake. I just saw a funnel. Hold on, wait. 4. I went back too far. There's the forest. There it is. 4-leaf clover. Great good fortune. A 4-leaf clover turns its fresh green face toward the querist. Rare indeed is a 4-leaf clover, and lucky is the querist who finds one. Great good fortune will be yours during the time frame indicated. Now there is no specific time frame indicated here besides the Capricorn card. And we're in Capricorn season right now for a few days. Vedic Capricorn season it may have already started. Let me see. Let me switch this over to the Vedic sidereal system and see what happens. Where the sun at? Where the sun at? So 4 degrees Capricorn in Vedic. This Vedic Capricorn season ends on the 11th of February. 3 weeks and 3 days until it crosses into Aquarius. So there will be a few days too where we're both in Aquarius season, tropical and sidereal. It could be this point in time. Could be. Looks like there's only 23 degrees and 26 minutes in Aquarius in the Vedic system. In Vedic, it's not all the same. So some seasons are longer than others. I think Vedic accounts for like actual movement, and tropical kind of sort of divides everything into equal pieces. That's why we get 30 degrees in each sign in the tropical system. But if you look at the Vedic, it's not always a month. Anyway. So I'm not necessarily gonna say that this is for Capricorn season. I'm gonna leave it as I don't know what the season is. The season will be different depending on who this is. The season is whenever you're in, I guess, the most Capricorn energy, or the season could be now for you. Without a season though, that would make this, I could see from a perspective of some folks, it would make it more difficult because then it's like, okay, well, when am I supposed to be watching for a friend to listen to? Because not all of my friends give good advice, and that may not necessarily be the case. And it might be. I don't know. Some people don't have people that give advice that is productive to living a productive life, I guess I would say. Or some people have people who are sort of locked into their experiences, and so whenever they give advice from their perspective in those experiences. And the thing about giving advice to other people is, and this is why I don't necessarily enjoy giving advice to people that I don't know, is that everything is different for everybody. A lot of things are different for everybody. A lot of things are different for a lot of people. And what I take out of a situation may not be what you take out of that situation. So the advice that I need and the advice that you need in the same exact situation can be very different. And a lot of times it seems we give advice from our own perspective. Like, oh, I wouldn't do that because XYZ. It's like, okay, you wouldn't do that because this is something that you are not naturally capable of doing, or something that you are currently incapable of doing because of whatever self limitation you have on you, limitations that I don't have on me. So what's possible for me may be impossible for you, and your this is impossible advice doesn't really serve me right now because this is something that I know to be possible. Now, if we flip that, what you are capable of, but have not yet done, or what you don't see yourself as capable of, that you actually are capable of, a friend may be able to see. So let's say, for example, there's a certain job and a certain position that you get the opportunity for. You tell a friend, you find out more about that job and position, you decide that it's something that you can't do or something that's not for you. That friend who knows how capable you are encourages you to do it anyway. Listen to the advice of that friend because great fortune awaits. Now, sometimes people can see things within us that we can't see ourselves because we're so focused on everything else that we're focused on. And oftentimes it seems that we have to be a lot more ready. It's almost like a lot of times we have to be overly qualified for something before we allow ourselves to do it. And so sometimes it's easier than we thought it would be because we were more capable than we were aware of. But as a human, until you have the experience, sometimes it's hard to know. But that's where a good friend will come in handy because they see it in you, they know it's there. So I would say maybe also, like, not to use it for personal gain, but cultivate friendships. Spend more time or ask your friends um, maybe what they see in you that you may not see. I've done that before. I remember there were a few of my friends that I asked them for relationship advice, but not in the space of relationship. I asked them like what advice they would give to me if I were pursuing a relationship because they know some of my light and they know some of my shadow. And one of my friends was like, "You need to be a lot more flexible," and I was like, "No." I said no. I was like, I'm flexible on the things that I can be flexible on, and the things that I'm inflexible on are the things that I'm not flexible in. The ways in which I don't bend for a reason, and I'm plenty flexible. And I guess I went straight to Taurus moon and rising, and I was all the way out of Pisces mutable water on that one. I was like, no. Then come to find out, I'm a lot more flexible than I thought I was. um, there's also somebody else said to be in the moment more and to not think so much all the time. I was like, okay. And again, it's like things that, especially with the flexibility thing, things that I would have been opposed to, but that would serve me well. And so maybe have some of those conversations just to get a better sort of picture of uh, yourself in general. One moment. All right. So yeah. Oh, dog barking. Chino just barked. Like right. Well, maybe you heard Chino bark. I don't know. It was like right before I clicked to resume the recording. Now, the shield is also here for a reason. And so maybe again, there's a need to parse out. I guess she didn't hear me. There's a need to parse out the good advice from the not that great advice. Maybe one of the things that would help you would be, okay, is this advice that's like applicable to the person who gave it to me, or is this advice that's actually applicable to me? Also, there's a need to be open minded because the universe is going to ask you to grow in ways that you may not yet know yourself capable of growing. Or you may feel a lot more, I don't want to say vindicated, but you may feel that a certain position and stance that you have taken, or are taking is something that it may turn out to not be. It may be like a slight lateral adjustment or movement or something of that nature. But yeah, or maybe someone's given you good advice and now you are like hitting your head against the wall. And again, like Capricorn energy isn't necessarily Aries energy, so it may be a wall that Aries energy would be capable of breaking through. But for you, Capricorn, I don't think it's to necessarily break through. There's an easier path ahead, one that you can't see because it kind of sort of exists outside the realm of your purview, or it requires a perspective that you're not, at least that you're not currently taking. A perspective that someone further from the wall, further from the situation, will be able to tell you, oh, there's a path like that goes around the wall, and I know that you're typically, straight up the mountain, the shortest path, but this is one of those instances where you're going to have to detour a little bit. But don't be afraid of the detour because it's going to You're gonna find something along the way. One second. All right, so that's what I got for y'all as Capricorn. All the best. I don't know. Capricorn energy has become one of my like faves in the past year. Honestly, like a lot of the energies are my favorite, and the ones that aren't, it's because it's like I can see the potential in you. You just need to. It's time to do more. But you know, they're still my favorites. Even the ones that aren't my favorites are my favorites in ways. I really admire them for doing things or being capable of things that don't necessarily align the easiest to me. Now, a lot of that misalignment in the past was because of procrastination, laziness, inaction, things like that. And now that those things have become to be cleaned up a little bit, now that I've worked on sloth, some of that stuff I'm a lot more capable of. A lot more capable of. But that's understandable, right? It's like when we finally start to address the things that limit us or the things that cause us to make limiting choices, then we experience more of a breadth of option because there are paths that are no longer off limits that take us to places in brand new ways. And along one of those paths, we may actually discover that we don't want to get to or go to the place that we originally wanted to go to. One of those detours may open up a whole new set of opportunities that are a lot more fulfilling, maybe more so challenging. But again, Capricorn, I feel like you can overcome some challenge, um, and you can go the distance. Really, sometimes we think we know where it is that we want to go. Sometimes we're prevented from going there for good reason. Sometimes some of those things, it's like they're level locked where we're not yet a high enough level to go to that place, and so we have to go somewhere else to accumulate experience. And then if if it calls for it, or if you remember to, you come back when it's no longer limited by just the sheer fact that you don't have enough experience yet. And again, when you gain experience, you may decide that that's a place that you don't even want to go to anymore. So that's what I got for you, Cappies. Cappies, a Cappies artist. Cappies on the trapeze. Cirque du Soleil. Anyone? Why don't they have? Oh, that's like petting zoo. Petting zoo. Oh, circus. I was like, oh, the zoo. That's like the circus. Petting zoo. So it is like circus adjacent. I'm like, no, no, the zoo is not a circus. They don't have goats in the circus, but maybe they should. You know, maybe they should. I'm sure. Come see the amazing goat scale this wall, right? I would go, oh my gosh, that's like pure vertical. How did it do that? It's like it's basically just floating up the wall or something. I don't know. All right, Cappies. I hope you'll have a good whatever whenever you're seeing this. If you're not having a good one, I hope you have a better one soon. And I hope you are acting in alignment with getting what it is that you want. Because for those who shoot for the stars, aim for the stars, and then release, they end up in the stars. Forget the moon. They end up in Andromeda or Perseus or the Perseid galaxy or whatever. I don't know. The Perseids, those are like meteors, right? I think those are meteors. But I think there's a Perseus constellation too. Anyway, all right, Capricorn, sorry. Have a good one. Bye. All right, Libra, hello. Well, Libra, this is going to be interesting because you only have. Oh, no, you have two extra cards. Okay. I was like, Libra, you only got one card. So I don't know where this is going to go. But I forgot you have the two extra that came out for you. Oh, Libra, where are you about to take me? I was afraid of Aries because Aries got like 10 cards from the tea leaf, but you got two cards from the SKT. So If one of them is the Empress, I'm like, oh, cute. Like, Venus, Libra, work. If the other one is like, I don't know why I want to say the Eight of Swords, but the Nine of Cups, it's like, oh, okay, Libra, like, work. Now, your tea leaf card is the rainbow. I remember seeing that one. The most difficult part of a situation is over. No rain, no rainbow. Right? That's what they say. No rain, no rainbow. What is that? Oh, there's a song, but it's not coming into my mind. I think it's No Rhyme, No Reason. I'm gonna look up the lyrics in there real quick. Since you only have one tea leaf card, Libra, gotta add some meat to this somewhere, right? I mean, I don't, but I can. And also, you do have the two. It's No Rhyme, No Reason, but there's something in there. It's in a compilation album of dance music. I love dance music apparently, and electro, house music. The Wiggly Worm. And in our house, there is house music. Okay, it's looking like White Nights just popped into my mind too, and I haven't even seen the album for it. It just popped into my mind. These dreams under my pillow in this bright light of these white nights. These dreams under my pillow in the bright light of these white nights as they grow. Okay, no rhyme, no reason. I'm just looking up to see who sings this because I'm sure there's more than one song. No rhyme, no reason. Here it is. No rhyme, no reason. LTJ experience. No time. I typed no time though. No time to cook. SONLTJ experience lyrics. Do 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 do. No rhyme, no reason. Okay. So missing lyrics, no rhyme, no reason. No lyrics here. Come on, somebody give me some lyrics. Somebody give me some lyrics. Okay, here we go. Maybe this one. Lyrics not available. Okay, there are no lyrics. There are no lyrics. Libra, there are no lyrics. What does that mean? What does that mean? There are no lyrics. Well, let's listen a little bit. Oh, let's not. Did y'all hear it go? No. Because I paused it as soon as I hit play. So the only word we got was no. I don't think the answer for you is no, Libra. I think the answer for me is no. Oh, what is it? There's a quote. A friend is someone who can sing us the song of our hearts when we've forgotten the lyrics. Oh, I was about to speak, but then I immediately like swallowed my words. So I don't know what that means. We're about to have a Mercury retrograde in Aquarius, which is an energy that trines yours. Um, Maybe you've been experiencing things that have put a lot of different things into perspective lately. With the rainbow here, I can see that. With the rainbow, it means that you may have gone through a storm. And maybe you forgot the lyrics of the song of your heart, but you found a reminder in someone or something. And so now that thing is coming to mean a lot more than it did before. And that's in another song. Everything is a song for you today, Libra. It's Into the Woods. It's something about moments that make the or mean more than it did before. Makes the something mean more than it did before. And if life were only moments, even now and then a bad one, how great it would be. But if life were only moments, you'd never know you had one because a moment is that short. Again, it's something that makes something mean more than it did before. Are my Libras okay? Well, Wes is a Libra. He's okay now. Oh, rainbow! He's been seeing rainbows all over the place too. There was a rainbow at the end of his last video. He's like, there's a rainbow in the chair and one up there. Dr. Seuss. Songs and rhymes. Okay. So, not quite. Oh my gosh. Look at this. Y'all got the Six of Swords. The Six of Swords is Mercury in Aquarius, and Mercury is about to retrograde in Aquarius. Six of Swords, the ferryman holding the universal Mercury. The universal Mercury is about seeing something from a bird's eye view. And when you have a bird's eye view, you know where paths go. And so when you have that view, it's a lot more easy to navigate life. Now, I don't think this ship has necessarily left yet. We don't see the back of the ship. I feel like, or the back of the ferry. I think the back of the ferry is docked. And the ferryman is waiting for you to approach. This is the second time this did that. Something about Capricorn for you, Libra. Because when this card came out, I'm pretty sure it was this one. Or maybe it was Capricorn for Cancer. I think it was this one. It fell out here, and I moved it over here because it was for you. But see, that's a movement. I had to move this from Capricorn here. This ship, I feel like it's not yet left. And then the other card you have is Saturn, New World Order. Now, Saturn is actually in Aquarius, and Saturn rules Aquarius. Now, we've been experiencing the Capricorn Saturnian rulership for a minute. Now we're in the space of experiencing the Aquarian Saturn rulership. And it's interesting because Jupiter was also there in Capricorn, but Jupiter in Capricorn is muted a lot more so than it is in Aquarius. And so, again, Jupiter is going to mean more now than it did before. Because Jupiter and Saturn and Capricorn, again, we weren't able to see the fullness of what that combination has to offer because Jupiter was in detriment or in fall. It was in an unfavorable position in Capricorn. But now in Aquarius, it's like Jupiter is unburdened. So Jupiter has a lot more to offer. And Jupiter is also leading the charge now where Saturn was leading before. Jupiter has overtaken Saturn. And that conjunction happened on the 21st, and that was the great conjunction in Aquarius at 0 degrees at the zenith degree of Aquarius or whatever. And as Mercury retrogrades, it's going to be getting closer to Jupiter and Saturn. So right now, it's 16 degrees. So it's exiting the orb of conjunction. It's like more than 10 degrees, and that aspect is really weak. And the closer to, the exact same position, the stronger that aspect. And so Saturn and Jupiter are going to continue moving forward, as well as the Sun. The Sun is going to continue moving forward when Mercury starts to go back. But the most difficult part of the situation is over. And I was just telling Capricorn about how sometimes something is locked, like level locked, because we don't have enough experience yet to enter that area. And so we go off and we get the experience. And if our path routes back to this place, then we'll visit it. Or if we remember after we have enough experience, then we come back to it if we so desire. I'm almost getting that energy for you, though, especially with this New World Order. You may have gotten the experience that you needed. And so now you're going to be revisiting something. You're going to be making your trip back to Karnak. Making a trip back to Karnak now that you know the things that you know. It can give you something different because now you are experienced enough that, you're not going to get one-shotted by the enemies there. And for those who don't necessarily play video games, it's like when something else is of when the level difference between you and something else is so high that that thing only has to hit you one time and your character just crumples on the floor. You get one shot at, knocked out in one hit. When you gain more experience, you also get more armor, more health. You're more capable in a lot of ways, more skills, more abilities. Not only do you not get one shotted, but you can take a few hits and you can hit back. Now, depending, it's not that it's necessarily going to be completely easy, but the most difficult part of it is over. It is now doable. You are now capable of something. Maybe you hold a perspective that you didn't hold before. Maybe you're not so enfeebled by a certain experience that now it leaves you completely incapacitated or just demoralized, I guess, when you face it. So now you can sort of move forward, wade through, sail over waters that used to just leave you, I guess, in a space of like crippling anxiety or something like that. And there's a lot to claim on the other side of the rainbow is the pot of gold, right? And also, in this world card, look at this. This is like the reverse of Pink Floyd. I don't know the album, the one with the prism. It goes from color to black and white. But this new world order lies at the end of that rainbow, I guess. And then if you imagine that universal mercury as gold, which for an alchemist, it wouldn't be too far fetched to imagine something as gold, maybe something that he's transmuted into gold. It's like your reward for doing this is it's like who you've become or what you've become capable of. Like you are the gold at the end of the rainbow. But without going through that experience, it never would have happened. What you were looking for was never anything outside of you, Libra. Or what you were looking for is something that you already had. But it means more now than it did before. The process of going through this has transmuted whatever that was into gold. And since it's something that you've done, it's something that you can replicate. What that does is it removes your dependency on the physical to get you something on the physical, if that makes any sense. It removes your dependency on the earth or your environment to fulfill you in material ways. Because now that you can make gold, it's like basically anything you want on this plane you can have. There's no limit to your ability to create gold. And so it opens up a brand new journey, a brand new path. This boat is still docked because it's like without that ability, it's like there's a dependency there that you never would have allowed yourself to be free enough of to pursue or seek what it is that you're going to be pursuing or seeking next, in whatever way that happens. I feel like for Libra, this is kind of ambiguous, but it's meant to be. I mean, it's kind of ambiguous for everybody. I love a little bit of ambiguity, not gonna lie, because things can play out in any manner of ways. Energy can be like that sometimes. If you try to pin it down in one area, then you'll get that same flavor of energy, but it may be in a different area. But it's all about gaining that universal Mercury, that perspective, that higher level bird's eye view perspective, and coming into a new world order. It's the same world, but just organized in a different way or viewed from a different perspective. And we have all the fixed signs represented here: Aquarius, Scorpio, Leo, and Taurus. And you being Libra would be the energy most likely to get all of those opposing fixed energies to find some kind of common ground where they can come and create and work together. And again, it goes back to the bull and the mule. You are definitely, I mean, not out of all of the cardinal signs, because they can all be charioteers in their own way, but you are definitely an energy suited to get the most stubborn of bulls and mules to work together. But it's not necessarily going to be easy, because it's about finding that common ground between things that can be on the surface so opposing. Now, I personally think that an approach where we learn to accept our differences gets us a lot further than an approach in which we learn to see all the ways in which we're similar. Because when we can accept our differences, then our unique talents and traits are open to being put on the table. If our whole argument is how similar we are, then that leaves a lot of stuff out in the shadow. It leaves a lot of stuff out in the cold that can help and benefit us, because what's the point of coming together to work together if we only use the tools that we both know how to use? And if that were the case, I feel like, maybe we would have gotten it by now, if the things that are common knowledge is gonna be what gets us where we want to go. We specialize for a reason, we're different for a reason, and it's within those differences that we create the whole of that puzzle, jigsaw puzzle. I feel like that's been a thing lately. Oh yeah, Russell was talking about it, like a 3D puzzle. But again, when it's all about how similar we are, those are the things that we keep in the back. Because, I don't want to show them that I'm too different. Because if I'm too different, then they won't accept me. And it's like, girl, honestly, personally, it's not that I don't love myself, but I welcome difference. Variety is a spicy life, and I like spice. But that's what I got for you, Libra. The worst is behind you. It gets easier from here. Easier from here doesn't necessarily mean easy, but the worst is behind you. There's a lot of internal alchemy here. There's this Ace of Swords against the Five of Swords, and it's about knowing how to navigate conflict in a way that makes everyone the victor instead of everyone being the loser. Because typically with the Five of Swords, even if you win, you lose. It's a fight where there are only losers. But with the Six, using that Ace of Swords and that Universal Mercury, we can make everyone a winner. And everyone being a winner, again, it's going back to Capricorn. With everyone being a winner, that's a new world order. That's a world of cooperation and symbiotism. And I want to say synchronicity, because things are synchronized. rather than one of competition and you like dog eat dog, it's lonely at the top and blah 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 whatever, taking advantage of people basically, or proving some kind of dominance over other people, I guess. And we have a masculine queen here, our first masculine queen, the the Scarlet Shield. Actually, I'm gonna I Ching these because I can. So the world was on the bottom, the Six of Swords was on the top. Where my reading glasses go, they're right here. Let's look into this. This will be interesting. Am I wrong to wonder? I need to cut my nails. I was at the store the other day and I was paying with my card and the button was at the bottom of the screen and I had to like go like that because my nails are so long. They just grow so fast. Am I wrong? Dun, 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 dun. Six of Swords and the World. This is going to be Lake over Earth. Right? Yep, Lake over Earth. No, 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 no. Earth over Lake. Okay. Earth over Lake. That's like some deep sea whatever. Oh, number 19. Spring is coming. Well, what's Lake over Earth? I'm curious. Lake over Earth is number 45, Assembly. But we're going with 19. Spring is coming. What did Little Bill say? Spring is here. Spring is here. It's the best time of the year. That's my brain. 19. Spring is coming. This is Ling. Let's see. It says, an ascent to greatness, prosperity and gains to come. Great benefits from completing the endeavor at hand. The divine light expands your power. After overcoming many obstacles, you are now ready to enjoy the dawn of success. As you reach your pinnacle, do not look down on those below you and do not be arrogant. Use your abundance to protect your kingdom and those who are less fortunate. At the arrival of the eighth moon, beware of another's ominous intentions. You will enjoy an enduring period of success, but around the eighth month mark, the envy of others may trigger them to take malicious action against you, so be wary and careful. Now, I am of the personal belief that, I mean, I guess while you could be aware of the malicious intentions of others, it's not something that I necessarily concern myself with. As long as you are acting in accordance and alignment with whatever you be acting in accordance and alignment with, as long as you are not out there doing ill-intended malicious things, then I think that it sort of safeguards you from reaping it, right? If you're not sowing it, why would you reap it? And then what it does is it creates this almost like a wind tunnel, almost like a mirror, I guess, where those things bounce back or blow back because they don't penetrate your experience. It's like in order to accept something, you have to have a port to receive it. Now, in some ways, it doesn't matter who starts what, because as soon as you respond in a like manner, you open yourself to receive it. That's where it comes in handy, just being the bigger person, I guess, as people say. It reminds me of a cell and something trying to get inside the cell. If the cell doesn't have a port for it, or if there's nothing on the cell that recognizes anything on whatever is trying to gain entry into the cell, then it won't be able to easily gain entry. And I guess that is another energy here. Because this fairy is docked somewhere, right? So there has to be some kind of port here. But anyway, the most difficult part is behind you, Libra. Prosperity awaits. Prosperity abounds. Take it. All right, Libra, I hope you have a good whatever whenever you see this. If you're not having a good whatever, I hope you have a better whatever soon. And I hope you are aligning and acting in accordance to what you wish to manifest in your life. And I hope you're getting it. If you're not getting it, I hope you start to put the action into the alignment, or you start to put the alignment into the action. Whatever needs to conspire and cooperate to get you where you want to be, I hope it happens for you. Because for those who, are believing and acting in alignment with miraculous things, miracles are constantly happening. Maybe in ways that you don't yet see. But you will soon, I feel, Libra. I don't know, that's interesting. Alrighty then, I'll catch you later. Bye. I don't know what that was, I'm sorry. And last but not least, Aries. Aries, 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 Aries. Has anyone been saying Aries enough lately? Have you not been getting the attention that you want lately, Aries? Maybe? I don't know. I just feel like saying Aries a bunch of times. Or maybe you've been annoyed by something or someone constantly pulling on you. Like Aries, 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 Aries. I don't know. And you're stuck in the car on a road trip and you're just like, oh my gosh, am I going to have to endure this the whole way there? Good news is no, because eventually either they'll get bored or they'll get tired and go to sleep. Aries, you got quite a number of cards, and so we're going to go through them one by one because that's how I'm feeling this. I'll keep it simple for myself. What was it? Kiss? Keep it simple. It's supposed to be like keep it simple, stupid. But I've heard a modified version like keep it simple, student, because you don't want to say stupid. But what is that in relation to? Y'all ever like remember like rice, rest, ice, compression, elevation? Now that one I know what it's for, but it's like what was that for? Guess, given, unknown, equation, substitute, solve. That's for solving problems. But kiss, I don't keep. Maybe that was for like keeping something concise and to not being extremely wordy. Girl, I could probably use that lesson. Keep it simple, stupid. KISS, an acronym for Keep It Simple, Stupid, is a design principle noted by the U.S. Navy in 1960. Didn't know that. The KISS principle states that most systems work best if they are kept simple rather than made complicated. Therefore, simplicity should be a key goal in design, and unnecessary complexity should be avoided. Interesting, Aries. I am liking that energy. So maybe this will help me keep it simpler. Okay. So first card, Aries, for you is the horse. Oh, short journey. I'm loving that horse energy because that's giving me some movement. Aries, you are the horse in the chariot. Instead of being the charioteer, girl, you're the horse, which could be easier or more difficult depending. Horse, short journey. A prancing horse beckons you to mount it. This card signifies that you will take a short journey during the time frame indicated. However, the card does not indicate whether the journey is for business or pleasure. Check connecting cards to see if they reveal the nature of the journey. So the nature of this journey is teardrops, great personal sorrow. Okay. Aries, that is not what I was expecting or wanting, but it's fine, right? We'll see. Sometimes I laugh when I'm like kind of uncomfortable or when I don't know, like when I'm surprised or shocked or when I'm in the process of like taking information in. Like I'm trying to comprehend what was just said. And it was so unexpected and out of left field that my initial reaction was to laugh. I don't know why I'm explaining that, but maybe y'all can relate in some way. So, great personal sorrow. Large teardrops fall from a sorrowful eye. It is impossible to tell if the eye belongs to a man or woman. Unlucky is the querist who chooses this card, for it signifies great personal sorrow. The eye also indicates that perhaps the sorrow could have been avoided if only you had trusted your intuition. So, what was our intuition telling us? It's the ink pot in reverse. Problems to be resolved. I don't necessarily read these reversed, but with problems to be resolved in reverse, that's either problems that we're not resolving, things that we're not facing, maybe because we think at this point it's more hassle than it's worth, or it will cause unnecessary conflict or contention. But if this is not addressed, it's going to lead to some great personal sorrow, it reads like. Also, it can be in reverse if this is a problem that we think is not capable of being resolved, but it indeed is. Now, this could also be that maybe something, it's like it wasn't meant to work out in the time that we were there, maybe. Like maybe it can't be resolved and we have to make peace with it. I need to remember keep it simple, stupid. Keep it simple, stupid is telling me that I read this like this, and at the end of it, it's going to complete itself. So I don't have to try to figure it all out, I guess. I'll just continue to read and we'll piece it together as we go, Aries. Inkpot, problems to be resolved. An overturned inkpot, and it was in reverse, so it's upright, I guess. An overturned inkpot lies on a desk. A quill pen lies beside it in a pool of spilled ink. This card indicates that there are problems you are not willing to face. The card advises you to resolve these problems or begin resolving them during the time frame indicated. So the nature of these problems is the ear. The ear is good news. I would say maybe that's us not listening to something. Maybe not listening to our intuition, because that the teardrop did mention that. The ear, good news. The ear signifies that the querist will soon hear good news. It also instructs the querist to let go of negative attitudes and look on the bright side of things rather than the dark side. Interesting. That takes me back to Capricorn. No, Cancer. It was Cancer. That takes me back to Cancer. Learning to differentiate your discernment from your cynicism, and how sometimes that can be a fine line. Discernment, anxiety, paranoia, there can be very fine line things that differentiate them, and a lot of times we don't fully know the difference until we experience the outcome. Now, something here says that it's not necessarily for us to wait until the outcome happens to try to differentiate whether this is our discernment or whether it's something else. Also, with the horse being a short journey, maybe we are going to be inconvenienced in a moment, but it's not going to be as long as we fear. But time is relative, and any time lost when we'd rather be dedicating it somewhere else can be viewed as more time than what was necessary. So, wrapping this up is the dark man. Dealings or relationship with a man with dark complexion or hair. Well, we have the older woman over here, and the dark man is here. So definitely some Cancerian energy in here somewhere, or like similar sort of journey path or features maybe as the Cancerian way. Dealings or relationship with a man with dark complexion or hair. A man with dark hair and dark complexion is shown. Is that a dark complexion? I mean, if you say so. I mean, I'm black, so maybe it's relative. Anyway, his face is inscrutable. You will have dealings or a relationship with a man with dark complexion or hair. However, the symbol does not indicate whether the man is a friend or foe, or whether the relationship will be of a romantic, business, or social nature. Check connecting cards to see if they reveal the nature of this man. Rather good or bad, your intuition is going to tell you. Your intuition is going to tell you. Now, with the horse here, things can move. Maybe that's why I said what I said about laughing earlier. Things may move faster than you are able to sort of comprehend them. And so you may not necessarily have enough time to sit down, collect your thoughts, and piece everything together. I don't think it's for you to, though. I really think this is something that you need to take in the moment as it's happening and actively utilizing discernment. Now, if you have concerns, you can address them, you can bring them up. So there's some honesty and some communication that needs to happen here. A lack of communication will not serve you with that ink pot knocked over. And maybe these are things that within yourself are still unresolved, or things that within yourself you don't even know how to communicate, because it's like with the ink on the table, you can't even, it's like your ability to write whatever letter, like even if you had paper with no ink in the pot for the quill, it would be difficult. There's also this feeling of either needing to be receptive or something being more receptive than we think. I feel like this sorrow can be avoided, and the card said as much. Now, is this good or bad, friend or foe? I don't know, but your intuition does. And it's not for me to tell you, it's for you to listen to your intuition on this one. I don't think it's for anyone to tell you. Because something like this, something about this feels counterintuitive. But on a soul level, it's very intuitive. On a deeper level, it's like you know. And again, with it happening faster than you can comprehend, it's like you don't understand why you feel the things you feel. Maybe you don't know how or why you know the things that you know, but you know them. And so, in a space of not being able to comprehend it within self, the brain tries to create reasons or tries to create things or project onto the situation a context that may not necessarily fit the situation. But again, I feel like if communication and receptivity or like being just open and receptive, and maybe some reciprocity as well, then it's like the situation will illuminate itself. And again, with the short journey and with the horse, I feel like there's not necessarily a lot of time. And it's not to put pressure on anything, but it's like there's almost a need to understand something in the situation. And it's like sometimes when we listen, we can, it's like be mindful of what you're listening for. Are you listening to hear the truth of the situation, or are you listening to validate whatever viewpoint it is that you already have and whatever it is that you already hold? Because if you're already so fixed on your position that you will hear whatever you want to hear, selective hearing, it's like you've already decided. And great sorrow is possible from the situation. It's better to listen to your intuition in the moment than to not listen to it, experience whatever this sorrow is, and then afterward go, I should have listened to my intuition there. And there are situations and circumstances in our lives that happen to teach us those things. But we can also learn those things by listening and experiencing the better. We don't always have to learn through a space of loss or sorrow. So that's what I got for you, Aries. Also, keep it simple. Don't overcomplicate things. I think there may be a tendency to, but it doesn't need to be that complicated. For me, myself, I approach my feelings with great thought. I approach a lot of things with great thought. And so if this is something that I had to do, I could see myself being in a position where I may overcomplicate things, or I may put a lot more words, I guess, than need to be sort of spoken. Because sometimes when I think of something, I take a lot of factors into mind. And so a lot of times, like if someone asks me what I think about something, I'll try to tell them how I arrived at the thought that I arrived at. And again, I take a lot of things into consideration. So for some people, it may seem that I'm like rambling or whatever, but I'm like, I'm trying to communicate how I arrived at the conclusion that I arrived at. Sometimes I get lost on the way there. And this is something I was talking to with a friend about years ago, maybe 2 or 3 years now. Um, and I was like, sometimes I need to just like get to the point. But I feel like a part of me feels that I need to explain how I arrived at the conclusion that I arrived at. Now, if it's asked for, then I can volunteer that information. If it's not, if it's in the like, you have 2 seconds to tell me what to do, like I don't have time to go and explain how I arrived at this conclusion. It's like, okay, do that. And then we do it, and it's like, whew, girl, you like saved my bacon. You just saved a life. Tell me how you arrived at that conclusion. And then it's like, oh, well, this, that, and this other thing. And I knew somebody who kind of experienced this before. And like, there was also this other thing. And that's how I got there. But it's one of the things that the people who know me just kind of sort of on some levels have to accept about me, I guess. Just like there are things that I learned to accept about other people. And I could probably do more to work on that. But again, I guess what are you listening for? Are you listening to have your hopes or your fears affirmed, or are you listening to hear the truth of the situation? Follow your intuition and use your discernment. Your discernment will tell you rather that is your intuition, if that's wishful thinking, or if it's fear, doubt, paranoia, anxiety, depression, or something else. Because there are a lot of subtle voices. Not all of them are always worth listening to. So that's what I got for you, Aries. And now we're going to move into the final shuffle. Le shuffle final. All right, I was going to clean all this up and then click resume after I had them all together. But I was like, nah, because this is a part of the experience for me. It's putting everything back together. Oh, I need to get the chariot. I need to get the chariot because it went flying somewhere. I think that's happened to the chariot card before. I think it's right there. Oh, I thought it was right there. Hold up. I gotta get the light. Give me the light. I hope I don't move the camera. Oh, there it is. Oh, and it's on the backside, too. Oh, okay. All right. It's still upright. Now, I usually don't take a final message from the SKT, really, but since cards came out that I read, I will. Cardinal Signs, this has been your reading for now. Whenever now is for you. No date and time. I guess I talked about the Mars conjunction, but Since I don't do all the signs when I do this, it's whenever you find it or whenever you come across it. Ace of Pentacles. Eight of Pentacles. Interesting. A world of our own making. Ooh, Five of Pentacles. Okay. Lots of Pentacles at the cut, which is, I guess, understandable. And then the Three of Cups. All right. So waking up from the Pentacles energy, getting some water in here, maybe some light. Yep, the King of Wands, so we can get this seed to grow. And I guess a little bit of air because, you know, gas exchange. Oh, and the Queen of Pentacles. Nope, no air yet. Okay. Well, maybe we'll get some air now. Oh, Page of Swords. There we go. A new breath of fresh air. Fresh hair, I guess. Okay. Final message from the SKT. I might put the title card back in here. Maybe not. I don't know. The Keeper is kind of the title card for me. Bottom of the deck is that King of Wands, which was the fire that we needed to get the seed to grow. So the light is established, but the air is new. Interesting. Archangel of Art and Grace. There's a certain amount of finesse here. What is it? Poise, that's the word. It's like fencing. But there's also like stature in poise, like a good form. And it's more technical than it looks. It looks effortless and it flows effortlessly and whatever, but it's also very technical. And it's not necessarily technical from a cerebral aspect. It's technical in the adherence to structure, right? Like legs extended, toes pointed, arms sort of like locked into that position, but not like robotically. There's the vessel for the water in which it flows, like a water balloon, but a human. Because it moves and changes. We are the vessel for the waters in which that we carry. Ah, see, there's that Eight of Pentacles. This is us mastering the seven before we can move on to the eighth. And the eighth, this Eight of Pentacles did come out with that Ace of Pentacles, the bread of life. This is what we have to claim when we come into that space of self-mastery. This is what we're creating here. And with the Angel of Art and Grace, I think this may be what's on the inside that people don't necessarily see. This is what people see from the outside. It's that ease, it's that effortlessness, and that flow and fluidity. But like the hours of practice, people don't necessarily see. And it's a way of learning to be technical and precise without being robotic is the only good word for it. It's being technical and precise while maintaining that effortless image, I guess. Also, it's a space of practice and mastery. Oh, I talked about the eight at the beginning, didn't I? With the Eight of Essences. So we already talked about the eight. That's coming into a space of mastery because you can't go back to the six once you've been at the eight. I mean, you can, but it's not going to be what it was because you know things now. Many wonderful things that you've never known before. Another shout out to Into the Woods. And she's like, isn't it nice to know a lot, but a little bit not? You know? Bottom of the deck is grapes. Yes, wine. Russell was talking about tempering earlier. And, you know, back in the Greco Roman days, they used to drink a lot, but it was watered down. When we drink a lot now, that's a lot of alcohol that we're ingesting. It's not as tempered as it used to be. I guess we need a little bit more to forget about all of our problems and worries and cast them aside and pretend like nothing is happening. Time to get out and have fun, says Grapes. I could probably use some fun, honestly. I've been having fun. I've been playing games with my brother lately, catching up on shows. I've been having a good time. And I'm actually enjoying it. I was in like hard work mode for a minute. So I was kind of feeling like I was like wasting time by not being productive or something, but it's all about a balance. A large bunch of succulent, ripe purple grapes hang from a vine, just waiting to be picked. This symbol advises you that you need a break from everyday routine. It is time to go out and have some fun. If you've been in that Eight of Pentacles, working hard, playing hard, working hard so you can play hard later type of energy, maybe it's work a little less hard and play a little harder now, potentially. Work hard, play hard. That's a song that my brother has. I used to play it in the car. So we have two cards, the chair empty that I've seen before, and the camel. The chair empty is someone is leaving your life. The camel is persevere and you will overcome problems. Now, persevere and you will overcome problems is on the horseshoe. Okay, so we're putting horseshoes on camels, so good luck. Oh, actually, it is the grapes. Nope, it's not. It's handshake. Handshake is a meeting with a stranger could be important. A meeting with a stranger could be important. Good luck. And persevere and you will overcome problems. This is about working with unfamiliar energies because an unfamiliar energy can bring you a result that you aren't capable of creating on your own. That's the beauty of diversity. Now, the camel in the book says persevere and you will overcome problems. A camel burdened with a heavy load slowly trudges across the hot desert and with no relief from the burning sun. However, the camel keeps its head up high and carries on, determined to reach the oasis and the rest that awaits it there. The camel indicates that you may feel laden with problems, but if you persevere in the face of adversity, the problems will be overcome. I love that. Handshake and um, good fortune, good luck. What was it? The horseshoe means that someone or something along your travels, some stranger that you will meet while you're out there persevering, maybe in the oasis, maybe along the way to the oasis, maybe the stranger will show you an oasis on that path, so you'll get rest before you think you'll get rest because someone knows something that you don't know. Someone knows something that you don't know. And then grapes is on the bottom over here, which was that about having fun. The empty chair. All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. Time to step away and have some fun. Don't want to waste your life away behind a desk. Right? Someone is leaving your life. An empty chair sits in an empty room. The empty room is in the Wild Unknown Archetypes. That came out recently. This symbol indicates that someone significant will be leaving or has just left your life. It does not indicate if the person is male or female or whether it will be for the better or worse. Check connecting cards to see if they reveal this information. Probably the release of a burden, honestly. If the chair is empty now and it's time to have some fun, maybe there was, we put the casket down and we're moving forwards because it's a burden that isn't necessarily ours to bear. Now, for some other people, you may have potentially been in the casket. So now your journey more so begins. And along the way, you will meet a stranger, come across a perspective that you didn't hold before that will make the progression of the journey easier or that will put it into a context. Again, you will emerge from the chrysalis, that butterfly that is now ready to fly, so don't crawl around like a caterpillar anymore. But until you're pushed off the branch, you forget that you have wings. Look like a butterfly, talk like a butterfly, live like a caterpillar, though. Like, why? All right, that's what I got. I hope you have a good whatever whenever you see this, and I hope you're acting in alignment to make it even better. Because for the folks who do, it's better is actually possible and happening. Enjoy this time, space, whatever, in which you have found this. If you're not enjoying it, I hope you do soon. Bye.